Hey guys, welcome to the Asian Hustle Network podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Maggie.
And we interview Asian entrepreneurs around the world to amplify their voices and empower Asians to pursue their dreams and goals.
We believe that each person has a message and a unique story from their entrepreneurial journey that they can share with all of us. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Asian Hustle Network podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Mylen Yamamoto. Mylen is the founder and CEO of Cropsticks, an innovative chopstick with a built-in rest made from sustainable bamboo. It was featured on season 8 of Shark Tank. It is the first product from Cropmade, a line of sustainable goods for the food and hospitality industry. Its second product is a biodegradable bamboo straw. Cropmade's mission is to leave behind a greener environment for future generations, and recently became a proud certified B Corporation. Launching in March 2017, Cropmade's clients now include 500 plus restaurants, hotels, and retailers. In addition, she runs a talent management company called Click Now, based in Los Angeles, that helps to build the careers of popular digital celebrities. Click Now services include influencer marketing management, packaging, and production. Mylen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Huge fan of you guys. You know this.
Also a huge fan of you as well, Mylen. For our listeners, Mylen was showing her Cropsticks as Maggie was giving the introduction earlier. And shout out to Mylen for being our talent manager as well. Mm-hmm. We're super happy and blessed to have you.
That's one of the criteria is that if we're managing somebody, we need to be huge fans of them. And I mean, you fit that obviously.
Thank you so much. But yeah, let's kind of hop into this podcast, Mylen. Like, tell us about where you grew up and what your upbringing was like.
Sure. So I'm from Hawaii, specifically Aiea, and born and raised here. And it's so great to be born on an island, especially one that values what Hawaii calls the aloha spirit. I want to just kind of like talk about that real quick, because I never really understood it until I went away to the mainland and then came back recently to stay with my family during the pandemic. But what aloha is I think generally people know it as hello and goodbye, but then it also means to give to your neighbor and give to strangers without accepting anything in return. And I think that's a concept that has been ingrained in a lot of the locals here, but also really myself. A quick example of that is, like, I was talking to my dad the other day, and he has a appointment to get his eyes, like LASIK surgery. And he's never met the doctors or has a relationship with them. But he told me, oh man, I'm going to go to Ani's and get them some baked goods. Do you want anything? I'm like, oh, Dad, you're going to get baked goods for your doctor? He's like, yeah, why not? And I was like, is that common? Are we supposed to bring baked goods to our doctors that we've never met before? He's like, well, if it makes them happy, and they're doing a service for me, like, I'm going to bring them baked goods. It's going to make them happy. Mm-hmm. And that's something like my dad consistently does. And that like makes sense to me. I think that's like an embodiment of the aloha spirit. So being born and raised in Hawaii has been great. And then, however, though, you can go around the island in 2 hours. And for me, I always wanted to experience what life was like beyond Hawaii. So for college, I went to Chapman University. It was great. It's in Orange County. It was very expensive though. So I went back to Hawaii to do another year of schooling. And then I went back on scholarship to Cal State LA, where I got my bachelor's and master's in communication. And my whole point for going to school was to become a professor. And that was really my dream trajectory in life, is to focus on research. And I love teaching. So that was also going to be part of my career. And it took a sharp turn when I started talent management and really got into that world in 2009 and made it a career in 2012. And then also started another company called Cropsticks, which is what Maggie mentioned, the chopstick with a built-in rest. So yeah, long story short, grew up in Hawaii and was on the mainland, and have been going back and since going back and forth between Hawaii and LA ever since.
Wow. And for our listeners, Mylen is one of the most nicest person we ever met through our network. And she really encompasses that Hawaiian spirit, you know, being aloha, being family, being friendly. And it really reflects throughout her entire business too. Like when we first talked to her, we felt like we're at home. We felt like we can trust her immediately. And we love that spirit, you know? And I had no idea that you wanted to become a professor. Like it's a really cool trajectory because I too had similar aspirations growing up. Like I wanted to become a college professor.
What did you want to teach?
I wanted to teach physics.
Wow, so different from this hustle world that we live.
Oh, it's so different.
Physics are very very concrete concepts.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite subjects back then, but it's great seeing you apply where you're from, Hawaii, family nature into Click Now, where you're so inclusive to everyone and you're constantly teaching us new things too. You're like, hey, do you guys know about this type of sponsorship? Do you guys know about this or that? And it's really awesome hearing that transferable skill set and passion to everything that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you brought up the fact that your father would bring like pastries or any like desserts to his doctor. And my parents do something very similar too. And I think that in that essence, like everyone wins, right? Because the doctor is able to win because he gets these snacks. And then your father, he's able to win as well because it makes him feel good. And like Ryan said, I feel like you kind of encapsulate that, like that friendliness and that warm feeling inside your business as well. And so, we looked into a little bit of your background. We know that your father had actually worked for Hawaii's Department of Education for over 40 years. And he was like an inspiration to you to become a professor. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would just follow him into the classroom and he was teaching auto mechanics and then later moved into the admin department. So just always around educators and just people that spoke so highly and respected their teachers. So I grew up like, oh, I want to do that too. And I did teach at Cal State LA in the communications department for a number of years. And then also full-time at Loyola Marymount in the entrepreneurship department. So I did realize my dream to become a professor, and I still teach a class for fun at UCLA, leadership communication strategies. For me, teaching is like yoga, and I noticed, like, you're right, like I do like to, I don't want to like teach if like no one's asking of it, but rather if there's something that can be helpful, then I do like to put it, I kind of go into like this lesson mode plan of like, okay, well, if you want to get a sponsorship deal, this is what we need to do. There's either the stakeholders and just kind of like create a game plan around it. And I do give it back to my professor days of how to put that together. And then, yeah, shout out to my dad for just always loving teaching and respecting the teachers around him.
I love that. I love that a lot. And let's talk more about Click Now. As you mentioned, you started this in 2009. How did that idea come about, and why or how did you make the jump to make it a full-time thing in 2012?
Yeah, so Click Now is a talent management firm, and we represent artists that have a large digital presence to tens of millions of followers online, and we help talent get brand deals. We also help package shows and then pitch to Netflix and things like that. Really provide that career guidance that if there's a talent, and I do consider Asian Hustle Network a talent, like you brought together community and you're also educating, and that takes talent to do. So, for my job is to empower these different voices, and we do specialize and empower diverse voices. I think that's something that I'm very proud of doing. And going back to our roots in 2009, while I was teaching at Cal State LA, and I also taught at this music college, David Choi, who's this OG YouTuber, you also had him on your podcast recently, and he's now building an app. So good for him for pivoting. But I was a huge fan of him and Kev Jumba and Wong Fu. And for our Xenials, you might be like, oh, those grandpas. And I'm also considered like a grandma or mother of like the YouTubers. So I can call them that. Anyway, being huge fans of David, I invited him to come speak to our students, I mean, I really just wanted his autograph because, a fan. And we just stayed friends in 2009. He's still a great friend to this day. And through him, got to meet so many other talented YouTubers. And I taught in Japan for a year and eventually ended up back in Hawaii. And Kev Jumba and Justin Chan were out in Hawaii making a movie. And Kevin approached me and he's like, "Oh, Mylen, you're organized. You're a teacher. Can you help us make a movie?" And I was like, "What? You want me to make a movie?" He's like, "Yeah, you can do it. You're a teacher." I'm like, "Sure." And that was really my first real entertainment paid gig, where I learned production and how to turn a script into a full-on film. And from there, after the movie left, I started getting more and more clients because I was known as the person associated with a lot of different YouTubers. And so I used that as an opportunity to bring out a lot of my friends to Hawaii, brought David out, brought Arden and Wong Fu to come to Hawaii and share their talents. And then we started getting brand deals. So I started doing music videos and putting the face shop in David's music videos. And then after a year of doing that in Hawaii, I realized, okay, to grow the business, I need to go back to Los Angeles and really focus and build that career out. Mm-hmm. That's when I met the Fung Bros, knew them at 40,000 subscribers. Today they have over 2 million. David Fung has a Netflix show coming out. And it's just been nonstop since then. We represent Yolinda Dong, who has over 12 million followers on TikTok right now. She's hilarious. If you don't know her, Richie Lee, who's known for his streetwear line, Stephen Lim, who started Watcher, and it has over 1 million followers. We work with Jubilee Media and Kevin Lee Magic. I mean, the list goes on. And of course, Asian Hustle Network. So this is, it's been a great journey. And it all started with being a fan of a YouTuber.
Love that.
Wow.
Love that a lot.
Yeah, that is so amazing. I mean, just hearing about all the high profile YouTubers and influencers that you were able to kind of click together with Click Now is so inspirational.
Yeah, it's so awesome to hear how you started from a very humble background where, you just didn't know where things are going. Mm-hmm. And to be able to build a business model out of that, it's like absolutely amazing. So hats off to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was really cool to see the industry grow from hobbyists and people doing it for fun. And now it's a full-on industry where there's millions and billions of dollars that are poured into it. So I'm very thankful to get in at the right time, but also if anyone's listening and they're thinking, wow, I want to be a talent manager in the digital space too. I think there's a lot of talent, especially diverse voices that need representation that truly care about their talent and can help them take them to the next level. So
yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that, as you were in your teaching career, you had to kind of create this movie for the first time. And for someone, if I were in your shoes, if I was a teacher, I would be so completely clueless as to how to, produce a movie. What were some of the challenges that you went through going into creating this movie? And for someone who's like trying to get into the talent management industry, I'm curious to know, how did you, get connected with so many high profile influencers? Because to someone who doesn't know anything about talent, management, I would think it's very, very hard to do that, to be, connected with so many high profile influencers.
And on top of that too, I'm also curious, as you're working with these influencers, it's not always rosy, right? It's extremely difficult. A lot of them, I'm speaking from my own personal experience as a content creator or a very new content creator. I go to a lot of internal struggles, like how's my content? Why is it not growing? And I hear from other people that you work with, it's like you're very supportive, you're very nurturing. You push them, you support them, you give suggestions. So I want to hear more about that side too. How are you coaching them to get to the next level?
And you have to make sure that they align with ClickNow's ambitions and values and mission statement as well.
Yeah, we don't work with the assholes, man. You guys are assholes. To answer your first question about production, and this can tie into a lot of the other questions you're asking too, is it was challenging. I think whenever you try to enter a new industry and when you don't know the nuances or the systems of things, it can be very scary. And so I think to address that fear, hey, I recognize what I'm feeling, but I'm more excited about what's going to come on the other end. And for me to help Kevin make a movie was very exciting for me. And so being solution oriented has always helped me see the other side of that fear. And so in that case, if anyone's trying to make a movie, then you really have to know the organizational structure. I think that's important. That was my first thing, what's above the line, what's below the line, and who are the executive producers? Where does the money come from, and who reports to whom? I think for any business, if you can understand the internal organization, and that also goes for talent management and getting brand deals. If you can understand how to speak to an advertising agency versus CAA or speaking to a studio, there's different agendas on each end, and how to navigate that is really important for anyone entering a new industry. So again, get over that fear, understand the organizational structure of things, and then understand the nuances of how to speak to each person, right? So movie, how to speak to a director is very different from how do you speak to a PA. And then going to Brian's question about navigating or coaching talent, I think it always goes down to, is this something that you're passionate about? Is this something that you can be proud of? Is this something that's doing better for the world? And that's something yes, maybe something won't get a lot of likes. Maybe there's not as much engagement, but if it's something that you're proud of, then that's the lasting feeling. I think if you do something where you're not proud of it and the likes are very high, but it's not aligned with you morally, then there's no longevity in that. So, if you're thinking about being a content creator, really know who you are, and then get ready to put out all different types of content so you can see what resonates the most, but be proud of it first.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. What you just said really reminds me of what Asian Hustle Network stands for as well, because inside the community, we always want to make sure that whenever someone has an ask or a request, we want to make sure it benefits everyone in the community rather than just one person. And that just really resonated with, Click Now, how you make sure that everyone, benefits from, whatever interaction or collaboration there is.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's a great point, Maggie, is making sure it benefits the whole system, the whole community. And another thing to add is when people are starting out, instead of asking, what can they do for me? It's asking, how can I provide value to the other person? And that goes back to Aloha Spirit, right? You give without expecting things in return. So try to give value and see what comes out of that. I think the whole ecosystem just can become beautiful when we focus on giving more, and then getting things in return can be exponential. At least it's worked for Click Now and Cropsticks.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I think that actually works for everything. So,
That's true.
that's a huge part of our mission statement too, is give first and receive later, or don't expect to receive, because we're just trying to give up positive energies to the world.
Yep, I love it. That's why we're working together.
But yeah, I want to shift the focus now over to Cropsticks by Cropmade,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of talk over. I love this pivot, by the way. I love how you created something of your own,
Mm-hmm.
and you went on Shark Tank too on season 8. What was that like? How that pivot happened over to creating this company?
Well, for someone who's very used to being behind the scenes and empowering talent, it was a crazy experience to go from 0 to 100 being talent on Shark Tank and having 5 million people watch you at the same time. Mm-hmm. So the backstory to get to Shark Tank is that I was running Click Now and also working full time at Loyola Marymount University. And then I was on a flight to Singapore for a Click Now gig. And my chopsticks kept rolling off of the tray table. So I thought, okay, like why not snap the top and have a rest? And then after doing more research on Cropsticks, I realized, all right, 20 million trees are chopped down every year to make a product you throw away. So if we're going to make this product and put it out into the world, we want to make it from bamboo, which is a sustainable source. And then of course we got our certified B Corp. So after the idea became reality through a Kickstarter and actually getting some investment, we realized, okay, we need even more investment. And I was at this conference, at an ink conference, and I met the casting director there who pointed out the Cropstick in my badge. And it was just a flimsy prototype at the time. And I pulled it out. I showed it to her very shakily. And she's like, oh, that's really cool. So she then put us through this really long process. For anyone interested in Shark Tank, it, I believe, took us like 9 months to go from sharing that idea with the casting director to it actually airing. And yeah, I really am thankful to a lot of the talent that supported Cropsticks in the beginning to like really push it out on Kickstarter, because that was the case study to get us to show that there is product market fit, to get us investors and eventually get us onto Shark Tank. But yeah, that was wild when I think about it. It was in 2016, season 8, episode 20 for anyone that's interested in watching it. But it like, I really have I really have more respect for talent who put themselves in front of the camera, because it's hard. And I practiced that pitch like thousands of times, and there's so much positivity that comes out of it, but there's also really mean people on the internet, and you have to really have that thick skin to like just handle it all. Yeah. But I would do it again.
Well, we're proud of you.
Yeah.
We have checked out the episode as well, and we watched it. Oh wow, this is Mylen. This is crazy. I haven't seen this pitching side of you yet.
And you brought so much energy to the show. I loved it. And I love what you're doing. I love all sustainable products, and if it's for the betterment of the world, I think it's a really good thing. And congratulations for getting your certified B Corp. That's a huge step. I'm very curious to know, chopsticks have been around for thousands of years. And when you're introducing like a new concept of chopsticks to the market, what type of challenges did you have? Because I know like a lot of people are just very used to using wooden chopsticks, and a lot of people will probably continue using it, but to introduce like a whole new concept, I'm sure you ran into some challenges trying to change the mindset of some people to change the chopsticks that they're using.
Changing mindset is really difficult.
It is very difficult. But I would love to learn about like some of the challenges that you went through.
Well, on the surface, we can teach people off of our wrappers. So on the wrapper, usually there's a picture that showcases how to use chopsticks, but on ours, it showcases how to break chopsticks. Mm-hmm. So for listeners, we have a photo of like breaking it apart horizontally, grabbing your food and then placing it on the rest. Mm-hmm. And then really amplifying that message through, I was able to show that on Shark Tank through a lot of our talent networks. We're able to share it, and through social media, and even sharing it on Asian Hustle Network. I think it's a constant education process and empowering our restaurants to interact with their guests. So we're in the Four Seasons and Disney parks and resorts. So, and a bunch of airlines. So it's really cool when we see the servers or flight attendants really educate the users. I think that's like the best ambassador that we can ask for. But taking it one step further, because that's on the surface level, it's really the core mission that we want to have resonate. So our mission is to leave behind a greener environment for future generations. And that needs to be done in the ethos of everything that we do. We do beach cleanups, and we share that through our newsletters, or getting the B Corp, or engaging in or supporting movements that help our planet. So yeah, that's how we get our messaging across.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. I'm out of curiosity too, being a talent manager for Click Now, how have you applied like these lessons and skills that you learned from managing talent over to your own business? What was that process and mindset like of taking things that you learn from managing talent and applying to your own and realizing that it's a new set of challenge, a new set of skill set you're trying to build? What was that process like?
Yeah, it's anytime you step into a new industry, there's always going to be challenges. But again, right, overcoming that fear and providing value and building the relationships. But one more thing I want to add is building systems. So for Click Now, it was really beneficial to have systems. We have a small but mighty team where everybody has a role, from obtaining a deal to managing a deal to collecting account receivables. And knowing that I can't do everything myself, having that skill set to empower others around you really was able to translate over to Cropsticks. The difference, though, with Cropsticks is that we're a physical product. And now instead of managing a studio and talent, we're managing a factory and logistics and a restaurant. But it comes down to building a system around so that all the moving parts can speak to each other. I think that's probably the most valuable lesson I took out of running two companies at the same time, is that you only have so many hours in the day, but if you can build systems that run without you, then that is how you scale, and that's how you stay sane.
I love that. Yeah. Building systems is so important.
It is. Yeah. And it's not easy, but it is very, very important. And, I like how Brian kind of brought it back a bit to Click Now. And I also want to bring it back to, your teaching days. You were teaching entrepreneurship. But at the time you weren't a full-fledged entrepreneur yet. And now that you are, what was going through your mindset? Like, did you always envision yourself as an entrepreneur? Or did you always think, okay, I'm probably going to be a teacher and stay as a teacher? But, when you kind of shifted that mindset and became an entrepreneur, what was going through your mind?
I never thought I would be a full-time entrepreneur. I was very comfortable in the classroom. I loved walking into a classroom and teaching students. I hated grading, though. I hated that. But I loved teaching and I loved empowering students. So it was interesting to also have side hustles at the time that I was also passionate about, but see it grow and manifest into ways that I realize I'm able to teach in other ways. Because when you have a classroom setting, you can have like 60 students, maybe as much as 500 at a time if you have a lecture hall. But if you can work through talent or through a business, there's other ways of teaching. And now through our talent, we're able to teach millions of people at the same time. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love how you're able to kind of apply those same principles that you were able to teach in the classroom to your actual business.
Yeah, love that a lot. So Mylen, out of curiosity, so what's next for both Cropsticks and Click Now? What do you envision these two companies, entities to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
For Click Now, we are bringing on more talent that we resonate with, and also helping each talent achieve their careers, because their career goals, when they're successful, we're successful. So our management firm is always talent first. Whatever is in the best interest of the talent, that's how we operate. And so I love looking at talent who are looking at writing books, or they're working on TV show ideas. Another talent just they hit 3 million in their merch line. Wow. And for us, our goal is to continue to foster these type of dreams of each talent. And if there is a talent that has that same type of goal, then we're willing to hire the team around that person to help them bring their ideas to reality. So it's a simple formula, but it works for us. And we do have 3 criteria for bringing on new talent. And one is we have to be a fan of them. Number 2, we need to know how to help them. And number 3, the talent needs to work way harder than their management team, because the talent's the CEO of the business. So that's Click Now's future ambition, is to keep growing our talent, because as they grow, we grow too. On Cropsticks side of things, we have a really big project right now where we're looking to build a closed loop bamboo farm and processing facility in Hawaii. So Hawaii's a great climate to grow bamboo, and 95% of our agricultural farmlands are either unoccupied or not utilized to the best of their ability. And so what we want to do is bring bamboo in to grow it, and then have a processing facility right next to the farm. So we're working on a feasibility study to see if these inputs and outputs can make sense, because Hawaii also has very unique challenges that we're an island, there's export cost, there's also high cost of labor, but can we work with the state and also have enough of a supply chain to make this type of thing feasible? So that's really exciting for Cropsticks, because it's going from a product development company into a full-fledged manufacturing company, and also including the raw materials. So we would be the full supply chain. That's the vision. Right now we're looking to see if it's even feasible, and I'd love to do it in Hawaii.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing seeing the growth of both Click Now and Cropsticks, and we're super excited to.
We're here for it. We're here to support you and see your vision through.
Absolutely. So Mylen,
that's my job. That's my job, to see your vision through.
We'll help each other.
Yes.
I feel the aloha on this podcast.
Yeah, we have to help each other. Everyone wins.
Yes. Believe in abundance mindset.
Yes, absolutely. So Mylen, we have one last question for you, and that is, if you could give one advice to an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, what would that advice be?
Or a content creator.
So right now, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you're probably in that idea phase, and it's super exciting, and you're building out how to get the idea to reality. At the same time, try to build your systems as you're working towards reality. So think about, all right, it's going to cost this much to make it. How am I going to keep track of all my funds? Am I going to put it into a certain bank account? Am I going to have QuickBooks? And will I have a person to input all of my books or make sure my books are aligned? How am I going to get things from point A to B? So if you can build your system while you're making your ideas a reality, when it becomes a reality, it'll be so much easier for you to execute and scale.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Love that advice.
Yeah, I love that.
And how can our listeners find out more about you and Click Now and Cropsticks online? So
if you're interested in talent management, visit Click, which is CLIQUE-now.com. If you're interested in Cropsticks, so if you're a restaurant or you're interested in our farm, go to Cropsticks, CROPSTICKS.co. And if you're interested in me, then go to Mylennial. That's my Instagram, MYLENNIAL. And shoot me some DMs if you have any questions.
Awesome. Well, it was amazing hearing your story today, Mylen. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you, Mylen. We appreciate you as always.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to the show.
We would like to get to the top 10 on iTunes, so be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We release an episode every single Wednesday, so stay tuned.
Thank you guys so much.